Okay, today we are diving into a book that is just as powerful as it is, well, unsettling. I'm talking, of course, about Margaret Atwood's 1985 masterpiece, The Handmaid's Tale. Now, this is a novel that definitely has a reputation, and believe me, it has earned it.
This quote, wow, it really gets to the absolute heart of the novel's warning, doesn't it? This is the central idea we're going to unpack today. It's this chilling message that the rights we take for granted, well, they're way more fragile than we like to think.
All right, Section 1, a warning from the past. And that really brings up a key question, right? Why on earth does a book that was written decades ago feel so incredibly current, like it could have been written yesterday?
You know, the thing that gives The Handmaid's Tale its lasting power is just how plausible it all feels. It's so unsettling. Atwood herself has said, famously, that she didn't invent anything for the book. Everything in it has happened somewhere in human history. So while it feels like this wild, speculative fiction, it's actually grounded in a terrifying reality.
Okay, let's get into it. Section 2, Inside the Republic of Gilead. To really get a handle on the book's warning, you first have to understand the world it builds. So what is this place, the Republic of Gilead? The setup is actually terrifyingly simple. Imagine this. Society is facing a massive crisis. You've got environmental disasters and birth rates have absolutely plummeted. So what happens? The United States government is overthrown. And what rises from the ashes is Gilead, a super rigid totalitarian society built on this brutal new kind of order. And this is where we meet our narrator, our protagonist, Offred. And she has a very specific title. She is a handmaid. And what does that mean? Well, her entire identity, her whole purpose in this new world, has been boiled down to one single thing: her ability to have children. We're talking about a complete, total, absolute loss of autonomy.
And this contrast you see here, this is what absolutely haunts Offred. It's like her mind is in two places at once. She has all these memories of her old life. You know, a life with autonomy, a family, a job, a real identity. And it's in this constant, painful tug of war with her present. Because in Gilead, she's not a person anymore. She's just a function, a category.
Which brings us to our next section, the architecture of control. So you have to wonder, how does a regime like Gilead actually pull this off? How does it hold on to that kind of absolute power?
Well, here's a really crucial point. This isn't about faith. It's about how Gilead weaponizes an ideology. Atwood is showing us something incredibly sinister here. How you can take deeply held beliefs, cherry-pick parts of them, and twist them into a political weapon. The regime literally takes biblical texts completely out of context to justify everything, especially the subjugation of women and their whole rigid social structure. They turn what could be a source of community into a tool for cruelty.
And the control is just total. It's systematic. You see it here. It happens one by one. First, your financial control is gone. Then, your right to choose. Suddenly, women are forbidden to even read. They can't own property. It's the step-by-step process where they're reduced from being individuals with hopes and dreams to being, well, vessels for the state, valued only for their ability to have babies.
All right, Section 4, resistance in the margins. Because even in a world that is so completely controlled, the human spirit, it still finds a way, right? But rebellion in a place like Gilead isn't what you might think. It's not about grand public acts of heroism. No, it's found in the quiet little moments, in the margins of a life where you are constantly being watched.
It all starts inside her head. Offred's biggest act of rebellion is so simple. She just remembers. She remembers her husband, her little girl, the freedom she used to have. And by doing that, she's holding on to the part of herself that Gilead is desperately trying to destroy. Her memory. That's her last real sanctuary. It's the one place they can't get to. And you know, from that quiet, internal defiance, these small little external acts start to bubble up. Think about it. In a society where one wrong word could literally get you killed, just having a forbidden conversation is a radical act. These whispers between the handmaids, they're like these tiny little sparks of connection fighting back against this oppressive, suffocating silence.
And sometimes resistance is even smaller than that. It's not even a word. It's just a glance, a stolen look, a brief moment of shared, silent understanding with someone else. These tiny moments carry so much weight. They're a quiet acknowledgement of a shared humanity, a humanity the regime is trying with all its might to stamp out. It's a little flicker of us in a world that's trying to make everyone them.
And that is exactly what makes Offred such a powerful character.
She's not some action hero, right? She's not a fearless revolutionary. She's afraid, she's confused, and honestly, she's just trying to survive. That realism is what makes her so relatable, and it drives home this really profound idea that in truly extreme situations, just surviving, just enduring, that can be its own powerful form of resistance.
So that brings us to our final section, why the tale endures. I mean, why do we keep coming back to this story decade after decade? What is it about The Handmaid's Tale that makes it so timeless, so essential, that it continues to capture, and yeah, horrify, new generations of readers? For me, the novel's final, most chilling point actually comes in the epilogue. It's this brilliant narrative frame. So you've just gone through this entire, intimate, painful, traumatic story with Offred. You're right there with her. And then, boom. The book cuts to these historical notes. It's a transcript from some academic conference in the distant future. And Offred's story, her entire life of suffering, it's become this sterile historical object, being picked apart by professors who are so disconnected they even crack jokes about it.
That epilogue is like a punch to the gut because it shows us just how easily we can distance ourselves from the real human pain of the past. And that right there is the ultimate function of this novel. It's more than just a story. It's a call for awareness. It's a stark reminder to stay vigilant, because the rights and freedoms we cherish, once they're lost, they are so difficult to ever get back.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. That jarring shift we just talked about, from someone's deeply personal trauma to a dry academic footnote, that might be the book's most important warning of all. It really makes you ask, if your own story were boiled down to just a historical note someday, what essential human truth about you would be lost in the process? Really makes you think. Thanks so much for joining me for this one.